You are listening to a Cult Talk Network podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to Cult of Campbell. I'm Ty.
I'm Urs.
And today we are looking at the 1998, I believe, made-for-TV movie, In the Line of Duty, Blaze of Glory, based on a true story. The very first based on a true story movie I think we've covered on Cult of Campbell. I'm pretty certain.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'll have to double check, but I don't think...
Was it Maniac Cop based on a true story?
Damn it, you beat me to it. Yeah. It could have been. It was very grounded. 1997 is when this came out. This is an hour and a half long made-for-TV movie, and it is definitely a 1990s made-for-TV movie. It ticked all the boxes for that made-for-TV stuff in the 90s. I really like made-for-TV shit from the 90s. You know, Sci-Fi Channel stuff and all that.
This was very, very 90s.
Oh, yeah. I guarantee this was on USA or something like that, I imagine. TNT, maybe something, but definitely made for TV fare. To the media, they're heroes. To the cops, they're a ticking time bomb. That's the tagline for it. And this is based on the true story of Jill and Jack.
Jeff and Jill.
Oh,
Erickson.
Jeff and Jill Erickson. Which I was surprised to find out is actually a real thing, because usually they'll throw based on a true story or something like that on a movie, and it'll be very thinly veiled, connections. But from what I understand, this is pretty accurate. And this is not only did Jeff and Jill get this movie made about them, there's also another made for TV movie called Normal Life, which starred Ashley Judd and Luke Perry.
I think I would rather watch that one.
You think so?
I've always had a thing for Ashley Judd.
See, I've always really enjoyed Luke Perry. Guess that's just perspective, I guess. I guess maybe we should watch that one. Let's see. Yeah, so this is actually made for TV, based on a true story. There's one part of the story that when we get into it, I'm questioning. I want to know whether or not it was a real thing, and we'll get into it. But yeah, this of course, the reason we're watching it stars Bruce Campbell as Jeff Erickson, and not only that, but playing Jill Erickson, we have Full House alumni Lori Loughlin, who plays the wife, and also we have another 90s staple, Bradley Whitford, plays the police detective Tom LaSalle. And let's see here, who was on behind this thing? Dick Lowry is our director. And what the hell did Dick Lowry do? Because I'll tell you what, he did some interesting stuff in this movie. I'll give him that. So he hasn't worked it looks like he's just a made-for-TV director. He just directs made-for-TV movies. If you go through his IMDb, you'll see a title, TV movie.
Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
Smokey and the Bandit 3.
Look, yeah, In the Line of Duty must be his thing. So he directed
a lot of those.
He directed In the Line of Duty, the FBI murders. In the Line of Duty, A Cop for the Killing. In the Line of Duty, Manhunt in the Dakotas. In the Line of Duty, Ambush in Waco. In the Line of Duty, The Price of Vengeance. And
he must have signed a deal with whoever publishes these In the Line of Duty movies. He must have signed a deal with them. Hey,
In the Line of Duty, Hunt for Justice. And then the final In the Line of Duty is Blaze of Glory. So we're wrapping up the franchise here with this one. And he also directed the category disaster movies, Category 6 and Category 7, which I really like. They star Randy Quaid, and I actually really enjoy those movies. It's written by Steve Harrington, which for some reason sounds familiar to me. Or Steve Harrigan. Let me see what he's done.
Steve Harrigan and Susan Reinhardt, looks like.
Yeah, she was the story. Steve Harrigan, he's a TV movie guy. He did the O.J. Simpson story. Let's see. Yeah, he's a TV movie guy. This is a TV movie, I guess all-star movie, I suppose. But it's an interesting flick. I think we should talk about in our next segment. Urs, what do we do here?
Let's get groovy.
Grab your boomstick and fire up the Delta. It's time for ACTION. Join the Cult of Campbell.
Groovy. lucky a little later, I'll let you play with my boomstick!
All right, so Blaze of Glory, In the Line of Duty. Urs, this is your first time watching this movie?
Yeah, I didn't even know about it. I think when we were recording Dome 4, I was on the IMDb page and I noticed it. And I was like, oh, that looks interesting.
It looks interesting. I knew about this for a while, last year, because I put together all the scheduling and stuff for the Call to Campbell. This was definitely one that I knew we had to hit because it's a starring role of Bruce Campbell and
as a bank robber.
As a bank robber, and also based on a true story, which we haven't seen either of those yet in Call to Campbell. So I knew this was one we had to hit, and it was I was having a really hard time finding it for a while because I think it was only released on DVD once, I believe, or maybe twice. It might have been released twice. I think it was released like by itself on DVD, and then like part of like a shitty cop action multi-pack or something like that. But both are really hard to find. I think they go for like $50 a piece.
Right now on Amazon, it's $26 if it's used and like $30 if it's new.
Oh, so not too bad. More than what I want to pay for it though.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay $26 for that.
No. And then so I kind of put it on the back burner of like, well, we'll get to it when we can. Then Urs just so happened to find the whole movie is on YouTube. If you just search Blaze of Glory, it's on there, the whole fucking movie, and it's pretty decent quality too.
Yeah, I was impressed by the quality.
And we've been getting lucky here lately with these. You find these hard to find movies on YouTube, thankfully. And that's something I talked to Eric about. Like the interesting thing, I think about 2022 here with Call to Campbell. We're coming into our second year. Is last year we kind of hit all the hits. We knocked out the Evil Dead franchise. My Name is Bruce. All the big movies, Bubba Hotep. And now this year we're hitting like these hidden. I don't know if you want to call them gems.
We're diamonds in the rough, man.
We're hitting these diamonds in the rough that not many people aside from like the real diehard Campbellites would recognize. We're hitting Dome 4, Blaze of Glory here on Valentine's Day. Eric and I are doing Lunatics, a love story. We're hitting all these really obscure movies, and that's kind of interesting thing about this second year of Call to Campbell is now we're introducing hopefully some fans to some new Campbell now that we've hit all the mainstream hits. But Blaze of Glory, apparently based on a true story. Jeff and Jill Erickson. I don't know too much about the actual true story events, but apparently it's interesting enough where they had 2 movies based on them made for TV. So
I mean, you don't see like a whole lot of like couple bank robbers in real life, you know what I mean? So it's an interesting story to start out with.
Yeah, they kind of call themselves the modern day Bonnie and Clyde, which is very fitting because it's husband and wife doing their thing in modern times. And depending on how much the movie is based on a true story and how much was just kind of fed in, for the sake of storytelling, they're pretty efficient bank robbers. So there's something to be said about their skills as being.
Well, obviously, Jill's the brains of the operation.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But it's pretty interesting the way they kind of go about things. And I really would like to find out more about Jeff and Jill just to see how much of this is actually taking from facts and how much is just added in there for the sake of storytelling.
I'm having trouble getting over like how basic their names are.
Jeff and Jill Erickson. I'm just really surprised they had 2 movies made about them. That's what's 2 made for TV movies. I think they came out the same year too.
I think there's like an FBI Files episode on them too. I think I saw that.
So apparently they're pretty prolific. I think they hit like 7 banks. I think is what the final total was, 6 or 7.
I think it was like $180,000. 8 banks, $183,000.
Wow. So they didn't really get that much, honestly. $180,000. But I guess the 90s is that was probably pretty good because the 90s were a pretty financially stable time. So I imagine like $180,000. That's pretty good money for 90s. But I would have thought 8 banks you get more. But I guess banks really don't keep that much cash in them at one time, or I guess where people can get to it. So we start the movie off and we jump pretty much right into the action on this. So we meet Jeff and Jill just briefly before they hit their first bank. We kind of established that Jill is a chemist, is what I think is what she is. but that really never plays into the story. For some reason, I was expecting her to, see, I don't know much about the real life Jeff and Jill, but for some reason, when it just coming from like I guess a storytelling aspect of it, her being a chemist, for some reason, I thought that was going to play in the story to where like maybe she makes bombs at some point. That was where I was like thinking it was going, because they introduce her as a chemist, and I just that's where that's where I thought it was going to progress to.
It kind of felt that way, that it was going to play like a bigger part in the actual story, but I think it was just some like stupid exposition to make her seem smart.
Yeah, and I guess too, just trying to show who these, because they're real people, they're actual people. So I guess they needed to show who these people were. So I suppose that was kind of the purpose of it as well. But just from a storytelling aspect of things, I was expecting it to play into the story somehow, to take the time to establish that. I thought it would maybe play in later, but it doesn't. Spoiler alert. But Jeff is pretty much just like, I guess at this point, he's like unemployed, is what I'm gathering. Because like he's just kind of like hanging out, and then they meet up for the heist. They've I don't know what's pushed him to this. That's probably something they could have fleshed out a little more.
They mentioned something. You might have missed it. It was like he said, "Yeah, the system fired me after why we were $22,000 in debt or something like that."
Okay. So they do kind of drop a little bit of tidbit of why they got pushed to these limits. There's a movie, I know you've seen it. It's got Jim Carrey. Was it Jack and Jill, or what the fuck is it?
I think it's something along those lines.
Yeah, where they become bank robbers. I thought that movie, for as goofy as it is, it does a really good job of, I guess, making you relate to the characters and why they get pushed to the point they do. Because they play in with like the recession and things like that. He loses his job, and you kind of see them living this very posh lifestyle. Then it becomes,
they come and repossess the lawn.
yeah, they repossess their lawn and shit. Like that did a great job of like showing what pushed these characters to do that. And I wonder if like even this was maybe based a little off of that, or if, because I know it's a remake. That Jack and Jill movie is a remake of something. So I almost wonder if it was maybe based a little bit off of the real life story of Jeff and Jill. But from what we understand, is they were living just a normal life, and they kind of want more. They want to live very, very lavish lifestyle that they don't have currently. So they get ready for their first bank robbery, and this is the first thing that got me is when they get in the car ready for the bank robbery. Bruce Campbell, as Jeff Erickson, decides to don his bank robber his bank robber costume, which consists of a Chicago Cubs hat and a very, very bad fake beard, which I'm glad they addressed that later in the movie, because I was worried they were going to like play it up like, Jesus, he's a genius master of disguise. But luckily they do like bring it up later as being very fake. Like I think one of the first witnesses is like, he's wearing a fake beard. He's like, how do you know it's a fake beard? He's like, my son just played Lincoln in his 8th grade production, and it was better than that. Like they at least acknowledge it, which made it really good.
Looking here on like Google Images, they have like a lineup of the people wearing the fake beard and the Cubs hat, or the Cubs hat, and it is a very bad fake beard.
Okay,
a very bad fake beard.
It
does look like what a kid would wear for like a Lincoln play.
So that's his genius costume, is this fake beard, a baseball cap, and I think he wears like a big jacket or something like that. And he busts in the bank, and they kind of describe him later on as being like a cowboy. He bursts in. It's like when I first see him, like he looks suspicious instantly. He's like running through the bank instead of like, typically you'll see in these movies where they kind of walk up to the teller and they try to be coy about it. No, he just like bursts in, and the bank. Every time I see a movie about bank robbery, it's like, what the fuck is the purpose of these security guards in the bank?
To slide the robber the gun.
That's like, is that like part of their job? Like, because that's every bank robbery movie you see. There's a guard and it's like, get on the floor and slide the gun over. That's what
it's always like this great big ass bank too. It's like, where the fuck do you guys go to banks? My bank's like tiny. It's like a house trailer.
Jesus Christ, where are you banking in a house trailer? I'm questioning your bank at this point. I don't know if your money's secure. They put it in just like a fucking Ziploc baggie.
Yeah, it's Ziploc baggie and stick it in a box of fish sticks and stick it in the freezer.
It's a shoebox. They're like, let me deposit $100. They just pull out a shoebox and start counting it out.
A shoebox with duct tape on top of it with black marker.
So they well, you met in Chillicothe. There's like a pretty our hometown. There's a pretty nice bank. You remember the building that
there was a bar for a while.
It was a bar for a while. Then it was a hair salon. Now I think currently it's a hair salon. But it used to be like a very nice big bank.
Well, that's why they went under. They got that big ass bank. They got to downgrade to a trailer sized bank.
I don't know. I would check I'd check the legitimacy of your bankers.
I mean, in the movies, there are always these great big ass fucking banks with these big stone pillars and shit like that.
Right. I always think of
a goddamn bank like that.
I guess I don't know. I live in the city too, and I've never been to a big ass bank like that. I've been to a lot of buildings that used to be banks though. Like there's a bourbon bar I go to that used to be a bank, and it's very much like one of these movie banks.
Oh, see, it was like a 90s thing then. Like
it was like I imagine like at some point like they wanted to like if you're giving your money to these institutes, I imagine they want to like give this. Maybe they want to seem like very big and something you're comfortable with giving your money to. I don't know.
I guess so. Now they all try to look like credit unions. Maybe that's why they all downgraded.
I suppose. So he comes bursting in. The security guard immediately passes over the gun. It's a very efficient bank robbery for all intents and purposes. For this being his first heist, it's very efficient. Like he comes in, gets the gun, everyone gets down, gets the money from the bank teller, and he's off. And it's very efficient. It's just a super efficient way of going about things for his first one. He gets out, takes his getaway car, because they do have a getaway car in every robbery. We do establish that Jeff is stealing cars beforehand. He's stealing cars, and that they use those as the getaway. And he meets back up with Jill, and they get out. They take off. He does all this, gets in the car with Jill. It's a success. His heart's pounding. She asks, like, what do we do now? He's like, we're going somewhere to eat. The best place you can think of. I want to know what it's like to throw down $100 bill in cash. At that point, you hear a little pop, and he looks down, and they had snuck a dye pack into the bag of money and ruined it all.
That was so predictable, dude. I knew it was going to happen. I was like, I knew it comes a dye pack.
Aren't those things supposed to go off like relatively? Because it seemed like it was a while before it went off.
I think it kind of depends. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but I know they're not supposed to go off in the bank. You know what I mean? That way they don't like, you motherfuckers shooting people.
That's right.
Put new money in the bag.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense. Then they make off with it, and it's disappointed. And I think after this they get home, and Jill, like after they go over things, Jill gives this is the part that I'm questioning. I want to know if this was like real because it was so in your face. Jill's like, "Oh, I got a gift for you," and she gifts Jeff a Bonnie and Clyde poster.
That's one part I would have liked to have seen, like first of all, some character development, definitely, but even just a little bit before the actual bank robbery started to see. Like what you said earlier, like what led into this, or
I think this definitely would have benefited from that because like I said, the movie kicks off with them doing their first heist. That's where this movie kicks off. Like we have no real build up aside from during the opening credits. They establish that Jill is a chemist and Jeff is not really doing anything.
He used to be a cop.
He used to be a cop. They kind of established that, which I'm wondering if because we know the second movie. Or not the second movie, but the other movie that's based on these guys is A Normal Life, made in 96. So that came out a year before this. And from what I'm looking at, they don't use the real names in this one. This one is Pam and Chris Anderson, but it's based on the Ericksons. So that'd be interesting. But it looks like, too, it's even follows the same basic premise with him having the beard. He's a former police officer, all this stuff. It looks like they also add like a drug addiction thing with Pam, which does kind of play Jill has some mental issues they kind of go into as well later in the movie, which was interesting. There's a lot of interesting things in this movie that they could have really benefited from digging a little deeper into,
rather than just touch on.
Yeah, because a lot of it's just kind of like they mention it and they kind of like move past it really quick.
Like the Monday thing. Like, did that ever come up again? It's like,
I don't
the bank
believe so.
robbery's on a Monday. This has to be something to do with this. And then they never elaborated on it at all. They like made
there's a few things like that too. Like later on when they find the car that's like marked to be stolen, like that they like do a whole stakeout thing and like nothing comes from it.
Oh, that's where they catch him. They catch him. They're just taking it out when they catch him.
Oh, that's right. Jesus Christ! I must look. I watched this movie like just now. Like I literally just wrapped this movie before we started recording.
That's why you don't remember a lot. It was just boring.
It was just that typical made-for-TV movie.
It's something you can turn on and watch while you're cleaning the house or whatever, and it's just not a big deal.
It definitely gave me like midday soap opera vibes. Like, kinda like, you know what I mean? Like the kind of movie you put on when you want to take a nap. Like that's kind of what it felt like.
Yeah,
that'd be like a great like title, like a great little like quote for the back of like a DVD box, something like that. Like on the front of it, it's like the movie to put on when you want to take a nap. Like have that plastered on the cover of your movie.
It was like called Talk Net Reviews. Great napping movie.
Yeah. Oh God. So like we kind of established at this point though that Jill is I'm guessing she's manic. I don't know, manic depressive.
Manic depressant, I think is what they said.
Yeah, so she Jeff's asleep, he wakes up and Jill is in the living room using a one of my favorite parts with this movie.
The 90s exercise equipment.
90s exercise equipment. I love 90s. I'm watching her, I'm like, what the fuck is she doing? Like, this is a fish. That's not a way to work out, but she's using some kind of weird sit up yourself kind of machine thing and and she's having like this manic episode where she's like, my blood's flowing, we got to get a new car, we got to get a utility vehicle, you're just wanting to get like a SUV, so they can maneuver terrain if they have to get away and all this, and we got to steal better cars and all this stuff. She starts like just going all this, she's having this like manic episode in the middle of the night. And it does work because we do see basically from this point on, and they bring it up later, how they kind of start to suspect that Jeff and Jill are copycat robbers because of the difference between each.
They think they're like smarter copycats.
Yeah, because with each progressive robbery, they kind of learn from their mistakes, which is one of the interesting parts about the characters, I thought, was that they were like making mistakes and like learning from them immediately kind of thing, or at least trying to, because later on they kind of get a little ahead of themselves. Then it kind of like fast forwards to I think they do 2 robberies in kind of like quick succession, where it's kind of like a little pseudo montage of them doing 2 successful robberies. And then we cut to this really nice suburban area where they have this really nice house.
Oh, where they're having the picnic they're grilling out with the neighbors.
Yeah, they're grilling out with the neighbors.
So fucking annoying. I hated that.
Yeah, that was rough.
Like, I just want to talk to just the cinematographer for just a moment. Why would you do that? And that orbiting shot, like around. There was a lot of camera movement in this movie, and a lot of it made sense, but this did not make sense at all. Why are you orbiting around?
The orbiting shot was way out of place. I think it was one of those things where they could do it, so they did it.
Yeah,
and there wasn't any rhyme or reason.
Cool. It'll be really cool. No,
exactly.
You're supposed to like convey like emotion and stuff like that with cinematography. You don't just do it because it's cool.
There was a really cool shot they do later in the movie. It's when Jill is having like one of her depression episodes, and the camera like orbits over her. I thought was really effective. Like she's laid out on the couch, she's having like a depressive episode, and like, Jeff, what's going on? And she tells him, like, she's very aware of what she's dealing with, and she tells him, like, I'm having one of my episodes, leave me alone, it'll pass. And the camera, as she's doing this, the camera like orbits over her, like arches over top of her. And I don't know, I really like that. I thought it was like it was disorienting, but in a effective manner.
Well,
Or,
that makes sense for that to be
right.
there.
Just not an orbiting shot just for
Of
two guys
a
talking
barbecue,
about
yeah.
talking about fucking motorcycles. There was no purpose in it orbiting.
And that's
But
like another thing. It's like I don't know when this actually took place, but I mean, hey, we robbing banks and getting some money together. Let's fucking open a bookstore. I'm like,
yeah,
that's just a brilliant idea. That's just a brilliant idea. Let's just open a bookstore.
that's their cover, is to open a bookstore. And like the dude that they have over for the barbecue is like questioning it anyways. Like he's like, oh, yeah, there's really not a lot of money in that. And like,
As you would.
yeah, like, oh no, yeah, we got this.
Like a
We bought
bookstore?
this $300,000 house because we opened a bookstore. And like he even tells him like, oh, he's like I hear a lot of the big chain bookstores are putting the smaller ones out, and he's like, oh no, we deal mostly in used books.
It was a dick move. But
Yeah.
that guy was a dick. He's like, yeah, your business idea is fucking stupid, guy.
Yeah.
You should have just came out and said that. But I mean,
I guess this happened in
he said everything I was thinking.
basically. So their crime spree went from 1990 to 1991. That's when this all occurred. 1990, 1991. And yeah, so they robbed 8 banks total. They did own a bookstore. Looks like they did own a bookstore in Hanover Park.
They weren't the brightest, as far as that goes.
God, it looks like this was legitimately looks like this movie follows it pretty accurate too. Like, yeah, 3M, they bought 2 Honda motorcycles. They were considered loners, though. I guess they did not interact with their neighbors. All their neighbors considered to be loners.
Yeah, I read that, and they were like nocturnal and would like start their motorcycles at like 3 a.m. and
yeah.
Oh, that would piss me off so bad.
Jeff opened a large bookstore called Best Used Books. The customers were impressed with Jeff's excellent selection of good condition used books and his knowledge of the classics.
Yeah, the whole 5 customers he got.
Yeah,
really
that were paying for all this stuff. So she was actually diagnosed with alcoholism and manic depression, and she was also
didn't touch on the alcoholism at all, did they?
No, they didn't. There was never any alcoholism, and she also was in the early stages of schizophrenia. She was apparently developing schizophrenia.
I could see that, yeah.
But she eventually it gets to her to where she has to be put in a mental institution, or not a mental institution, like a clinic. They put her in like a clinic to have her diagnosed and have it dealt with. And Jeff tells basically the doctors that the money is an issue, whatever they got to do to get her taken care of. Now, while all this is going on, while they're like going on their spree and stuff, there's also another character we touch on, played by Brad Whitford, who
90s detective guy.
90s detective guy. He's the villain from Billy Madison, and more recently he's the dad from Get Out, the Jordan Peele movie. He's the dad in that. So and this guy is always just he's always a prick. Like every time it's just I imagine it's just how he is. He's just a prick, because I've never seen him not play, even when he's playing a good guy. Because I know he's in the Godzilla movies, the new Godzilla movies. He's like the tech guy in the new Godzilla movies, and even then he's kind of like a prick, even though he's supposed to be a good one of the good guys. If you see him, you'll know him because he's one of those that guys. But he plays Detective Tom LaSalle, and he is on the trail of Jeff and Jill. And they also throw in this subplot with his dad. He has a dad who I guess is maybe suffering from early onset Alzheimer's.
Definitely some form of dementia.
Yeah, so it's a little subplot they don't really follow up on too much, but it does kind of come into play to where his dad is a former cop, and his dad apparently, when in his heyday, had a similar incident where he was hunting down a bank robber. He used to dress like a
hippie hair guy.
Yeah, hippie hair. Yeah, he used to wear a hippie hair wig and was robbing all these banks, and he was on his trail the whole time. He kind of lends exposition every now and then. Like he eventually tells Tom that these 2 criminals, the path they're going is going to end in a blaze of glory. Like they're going to go out in a blaze of glory. That's kind of like what he predicts. And I don't want to give anything away, but the movie is called Blaze of Glory. So.
I thought they did a bad job of building that whole profile that they gave him. Even at the doctor's when when Jill went to the doctor, they were like, "Oh, everybody thinks that you have some kind of control over me." But I mean, that may have been the case in real life, but they did not portray that at all in this film.
No, I almost felt like it was the opposite way.
Right?
Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Go keep my side of the bed warm.
Right. I feel like it was almost opposite. Like Jill had some sort of, and maybe it wasn't even like an evil kind of control. I think legitimately the way they kind of build up is like Jeff was like legitimately enamored by his wife. Like he like legitimately loved his wife, and that was kind of like
which is really sweet.
Yeah,
And
it
then-
was very sweet. They made like a very sweet. They did a good job of like establishing that these two were in love, and they were kind of they had each other's back and things like that. Like they did a good job in those aspects of it, but overall, it's kind of like the overall movie was the issue. But the characters I thought were decent, but they would have benefited a lot better with some more building on these because. I know Jeff and Jill are apparently real people, but I don't know who the fuck Jeff and Jill are.
Yeah, there was no character development at all.
None.
That's why it's a napping movie, because it doesn't matter when you go to sleep or when you wake up.
Exactly.
You're not gonna
And
you're not
even
really
with
miss anything.
even with Jill getting admitted to that clinic, it's kind of like a scene or two where and then like she's out. Like I think they prescribe her Prozac or something like that. And then she's out, and then they're just back to robbing. She messages. I mean, makes a comment a couple times about how she wants to get pregnant. I know they kind of mentioned that a couple times. That's one of her subplots. Is she eventually wants to have kids, but she does kind of go into this. She because at one point she kind of realizes this is when she's having her like little manic depressive episode that. They're going to have to rob more banks.
Yeah, it's never going to be enough.
It's never going to be enough. They're going to keep they keep thinking they've reached the point, but then they're kind of, I guess, going out of their means.
Yeah, they don't have the ability to live within their means.
Right.
So it's like they're bitching about money, and they got this big ass house and some motorcycles and a jacuzzi in the backyard, and
apparently the used bookstore ain't putting out the right amount of money. Maybe you should have used your money on a little better of a cover business, I guess. I don't know, like maybe the 90s, maybe used books were like a big deal in the 90s. I don't know. They didn't have internet yet, so where else were you gonna get your periodicals? You couldn't go to Wikipedia.
Oh, that's true.
They of course do. They start hitting on more banks, and I think this is where they start getting the guns. Jeff buys a couple guns. I think one's a like automatic rifle, I believe, right?
No, not really.
No.
I mean,
I know there's a shotgun, and there's also like a carbine,
like a Ruger Mini 14. I think.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, I think what they call it, carbine is that what it is?
They called it an assault rifle. In the
Yeah,
movie.
they did call it an assault rifle, which
It was just a Ruger Mini 14.
every gun's an assault rifle, right?
Yeah, basically.
Basically.
Surprisingly, for 97, that they call every gun an assault rifle.
Right. I kind of wonder if it wasn't. I don't think it was any sort of like subtext. I think it was just lazy writing.
Ouch.
I think on that. I think that's all that was. But yeah, he gets in the guns, and there's also this story about how they met. Apparently, Jill had been set up on a blind date by her sister. She went out this guy who was like totally uninterested. He left, and then Jeff was just happened to be at the bar and see her, and he came over and like put his arms around her, and that's like where they were like together ever since.
That is so fucking creepy.
It really is. It's very bold too of Jeff just go over and see this girl like upset and like go put your arms around her.
Oh, it's okay, darling. I'll take care of you.
Yeah. Why don't you come on home with me? I'll make you feel better.
That's really, really creepy.
Yeah. Also, some stuff we kind of got to mention because they do kind of gloss over a little bit. Jeff is a former Marine. We do know that. And also a former cop. So he was a cop for a while and then got fired because he wasn't, I guess, he wasn't a good cop, I guess. Like not that he was a bad cop. He just wasn't, he didn't really like following the rules and not like badass 90s action rules. He just didn't like giving people tickets or feeling like he was harassing people, which he just didn't want to be an asshole, I guess. So they were like, none of that here on the police force.
Was it? He was like, I don't like authority, so it kind of seemed hypocritical.
Yep. But he is in the Marines and a cop, and now he owns a bookstore. Just a natural progression of your career, and then to a secret bank robber. This is where things kind of heat up because he's got one of his stolen cars. he is being pursued by this cop who's just kind of like doing a routine like patrol with I think she was a dispatch.
A dispatch trainee trying to learn the roads or something.
Something like that, yeah. And they come up on Jeff driving his getaway car they just stole, and it's got expired plates. And he's like, you're going to witness me giving out a ticket. And he pulls over the car, and he gets out, and then immediately Jeff comes out with his gun and shoots the cop, shoots at the car, like blows the car to bits, like shoots it all up. The dispatcher survives, and we find out, I think, later that the cop is in the ER. He's in critical condition. But this is where things like kind of shift from where they're just being petty, bank robbers who are at this point, even like the media is even kind of laughing it off a little bit. Like I know there's one scene where the detective is watching the news, the newscasters are like, oh, and they're reporting on the bank robberies, and like the suspect was described as wearing a Chicago Cubs hat and a fake beard, and he's like, oh, Chicago Cubs, I guess they aren't bad after all. And like they're kind of making jokes of it because at this point they haven't really harmed anyone aside from stealing money from the banks, which I assume if you get your money stolen in a robbery, I think you get that like that doesn't like come from you, right?
Yeah, that's all insured.
Yeah, so at this point they're just kind of being nuisances to the cops and not really being looked at as these evil people, because they haven't really done much aside from like Jeff being a little bit of an asshole when he robs the banks. He likes to bully the tellers just so he can get shit out of there quicker. So that's what the only thing, he like, what does he say, like you got 10 seconds to put a bullet in your head and that kind of shit.
Yeah,
that becomes like a big thing in it, which I love that scene in the lineup when they get to it, because they have one of the bank tellers later on in the movie when Jeff is incarcerated. They have like a lineup of suspects, and they make him read the line, and you got 10 seconds or I put a bullet in your brain. Like the first guy comes up, it's like, you got 10 seconds or I put a bullet in your brain. And then the second guy's like, you got 10 seconds or put a bullet in your brain. Then they get to Jeff, he's like, you got 10 seconds or I put a bullet in your brain. Like,
that's him.
Yeah, he like amps it up. Like for some reason, like almost like he wants to get cocks. Like everyone else is just kind of like, oh, dude. And then he gets up there and like decides he wants to fucking win an Oscar or some shit. So if she picks me, I'll win, right? That's the thing. Yeah. So now he's he's really messed up because now the cops are after him. That he's taken one of their own, so now they gotta really catch him. The heat's been cranked up, and there's a couple scenes where like Jill starts to question his motives, because he tells her a different story than what actually happened. He tells her that the cop pulled a gun on him, and he was it was like a life or death kind of situation, when really it was just him getting, I guess, scared. He got spooked and reacted from it. But she questions too, like, Jeff, like, did you do it out of self-defense, or did you do it
Did you shoot to kill?
Yeah, shoot to kill. Yeah,
That's always a stupid fucking thing to say.
Shoot to kill.
If you're shooting at somebody, you're using deadly force. You're shooting to kill.
Right.
Yeah. I know I'm gonna shoot him in the knee, and then chase.
Okay. So she kind of questions that, and he's like telling her, he's like, no, he's like, it was self-defense. It was me or him kind of thing. She's like, oh, I trust you or whatever. And I think they go to like a shooting range or somewhere out to shoot at this point. They take their brother Harley Davidsons out to go shoot. And Jill has the line where she tells him, like, you know what I was going to do the night you met me? And she's like, I was thinking about killing myself.
Imagine killing yourself because a blind date rejected you.
Oh, she's got some mental issues. We've established that. And she tells him, like, you saved my life. That's why we're together forever. You saved my life. Then at this point, this is where we have the first big like mess up in the robbery. So they go to rob a bank. Jeff gets a flat tire after the robbery, and that's enough time for the cops to catch up to him, and they make pursuit. They chase him all through the city, basically. He eventually gets to Jill, and he tells her, everything got messed up. And he makes the comment of like, you could have been, or no, he makes a comment later or earlier whenever she is questioned about the gun, the shooting. He tells her, like, would you rather be attending my funeral right now? And after this whole mess up, she tells him, like, we're no longer doing the you alone thing. We're in this together. So they're going to rob a bank together. And this is kind of what sets off the chain of events that leads to the eventual catch of them. And the whole time, Detective Tom LaSalle is also doing his digging, and he like tells like his dad like they're making me look really bad. Like they've hit like 7 banks. I have no leads on who the hell these people are. Which by all means, I mean they were a pretty effective bank robbers, to be honest. I mean it was literally just their their mess up, right? That got them caught.
Well, I think it was just the cops at that domestic dispute, and they noticed that towel on the
That woman's car.
on that car, and they knew that it had been popped. So they were like, "Oh well."
Yeah, so that's a thing. They get called. The cops get called to someone's house, wherever. After they leave, they look into her car, and there's a towel wrapped around the steering wheel, which I guess was their way of marking a vehicle.
No, it's just to cover up the wires.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
so when you pop ignition, so you
so
just
they
throw it on top of the covered up the wires.
so they had already gotten there and I guess had it prepped,
had it ready to go. Yeah,
had it ready to go. Okay. See, I was confused on that. I thought it was just like a subtle way of like marking the vehicle to be stolen.
The only reason I know that's from watching Cops, because I thought it was like stupid fucking. It's like, oh yeah, I popped the ignition on this, so let me be inconspicuous and wrap a towel around it, but no one will know.
No. Well, I mean, I guess you were looking. I wouldn't really. I would have never known.
Well, this guy on Cops got pulled over. He had a towel wrapped around the steering.
Okay. Huh.
A little sidetrack there.
So they rob a bank first, right? They rob one. They get one successful robbery out of it, right? Before they get caught, because that's kind of
going in together. Yeah, they went in together for like one time, and then he's like, "Look, we can't do that anymore." Because,
I think it took too long.
You're getting a little too antsy. Is what he said. You're getting too antsy. So,
and that's also one of the reasons that Detective LaSalle determines that they're a married couple, because during the robbery, I guess Jeff is kind of like guiding Jill along. He's kind of showing her the ropes, and he's also forgetting that he's not her husband. He's her husband, and like he like kind of puts his hand on her lower back, things like that, kind of guiding her through. And Detective LaSalle knows it's a guy and a girl because guys don't do that.
Yeah, guys.
He calls her in the middle of the night. It's like, I think they're a couple. Well, how do you know? She's putting his hands on her lower back. Guys don't do that. It's the 90s. They don't. That's kind of the way he starts to put together that they're husband and wife. Because I think he even has later some suspicions of it's obviously a team because they're the one is kind of showing off to the other one or something like that, or trying to impress the other one. But up until that, they think it's 2 guys because she does dress in a disguise as well as Jeff. Like she.
Yeah, I just think it's a smaller guy.
Yeah, just a smaller guy. We're treated to a very boring scene of them going through known bank robbers. A little FBI, I guess, profile thing of them looking at different bank robbers in the city who have been convicted, let out, and comparing heights and all this shit. And it's still just it really does impress me that Jeff and Jill, had they have found a good stopping point, they were at this point, there was nothing to say that they were bank robbers. There was zero suspicion. There wasn't in some movies you'll see, eventually the cops will catch on. There's,
I'm on to you. Just waiting on you to slip up.
Yeah, there's
that wasn't even there. They had no idea.
No, they literally had no idea these two were bank robbers because they were pretty efficient. Jill being the brains of it, and Jeff, acting out the shit. I mean, they just had no idea these two were the ones, and they didn't find out until later. So the cops have decided they're going to stake out this car they found with the towel around it, and that becomes the big the big key to catching Jeff and Jill. They have no idea that the cops have this car staked out. In the meantime, too, while this is all going on, Jeff and Jill, we get some character development here where they decide. Jill tells him her dream is to have a kid, have a kid with Jeff and settle down. Jeff tells her, that's going to be a reality. They're going to, I guess, didn't they say something about this being their last one or something like that?
Probably. That sounds like a 90s bank robbery movie.
This is the last one. And they're going to have enough to where they can settle down, they can live comfortably, and then, have this kid and start a family and live life as they feel they can. They'll live comfortably and have a nice
bookstore takes off.
Once the bookstore takes off, it's a thriving medium that's never going to go away. They go to the get their car to make their last hit, and they're ambushed by the police. and we get a thrilling car chase from Jill. Jeff gets apprehended in this whole sting.
This whole scene just made me mad. It was so they watch him get out of the car and walk up to the car. They watch him get out of Jill's car and walk up to the car, and then they're like, "Oh my God, there's another car with a person in it."
Knowing, and this is something very established,
right? And then Jeff, he's like, "Jill, run!"
So they catch Jeff, and Jill takes off in the car. It's a thrilling high speed pursuit here. It ends with her going down like a dead end street. She gets like trapped in a cul-de-sac, if I'm not mistaken. The cops corner. They draw their guns. They tell her, get out of the car, your hands up. Any other act will be considered an act of aggression, and we'll have to take you out. She looks over in her passenger seat, and there we have her handgun, and she makes a reach for it. We cut back to the police cruiser where Jeff is at, and he kind of hears all this stuff going on over the radio. He hears all this stuff going, then you hear a pop. We seen Jill looking at the gun. We hear one single pop, and that's it. We cut to an interrogation room where they have Jeff. Tom LaSalle busts in, tells him, we got all the everything we need to go ahead and put you under for this. We got all the evidence we need that you're the one who's done all this. He's asking, like, where's my wife? Where's my wife? And he tells him that your wife is dead. And we get some actually really good acting here from Bruce. I thought this whole last little act here, I think Bruce kind of held up this whole last part of the movie, because we get to see him like in a rare form, like crying, being like legitimately upset, and we don't really get to see a lot of that. And usually in Bruce movies, they're usually pretty hammy. Which, not to say this isn't hammy, but it's a rare form to see Bruce in. So, and now we have the we get the big police trial between the two, between Detective LaSalle and Jeff. They're going to convict Jeff. One of the parts I liked was he asks LaSalle, he's like, have you ever been married? And LaSalle's like, no. He's like, well, why not? He's like, I haven't found the right girl. And Jeff's like, well, I did, and she's dead. And like he's convinced the cops killed her, is what his understanding is. The cops shot her, and we find out in the trial that Jill killed herself, took her own life, and Jeff refuses to believe that, because he's like Jill wouldn't leave me, and we were soulmates. She wouldn't leave me alone to deal with all this, and he just can't believe that she would take her own life. And he's convinced the cops killed her. We have the final trial where he's being convicted. I don't know if they convict him in this one or not.
I think it was just the trial. It didn't go to conviction. I don't think they recessed after he had an outburst. So, I mean, it didn't go to a verdict or anything like that. And
this was something that I thought for sure was like bad writing, but I guess it's like actually how it happened. So
somehow he had a handcuff key.
Somebody had a handcuff key. When you look at the article on how he escaped, it just says he managed to free one of his hands from his handcuffs. I don't know. It doesn't really say anything about a key, but I'm assuming it was a key. So this movie, for all intents and purposes, does seem like it follows everything pretty accurately.
Yeah, it's a good portrayal from what I understand of the story from the 3 or 4 minutes that I skimmed through stuff.
Yeah, from what I understand. So, somehow he frees his hands from the handcuffs. He shoots one U.S. Marshal. He shoots
the old guy, the old security guard guy.
Yeah, shoots a security guard.
Which, when they were showing up to court, and he's like, "How's your dad? How's the chief?" And he's like, "Yeah, good." I thought, yeah, this motherfucker's going to
die. And then he, what the fuck was it? I'm trying to piece together like how he dies, because doesn't the Tom LaSalle guy kill him?
No, he kills himself.
Oh, he kills himself. Okay.
Yeah, after the old security guard guy shoots him in the back, he kills himself, which I thought was a really good scene. When it's super close and he's all sweaty and he's like just looking at him, like, then he picks up the gun and he's like, "Don't do it." I'm like, why wouldn't I do it? But I mean, I just killed 2 cops.
So he kills himself, and that's the end of Jeff and Jill. They both killed themselves.
He went to be with his wife.
He went to be with his wife. The modern day Bonnie and Clyde. It's a movie.
It is a movie.
It's a movie. I don't really know if I care enough. I would kind of like to see that other movie with Luke Perry and Ashley Judd. I think it'd be kind of interesting to see a parallel, but I really don't know if I care enough to see it.
I'll watch it if I get really bored.
Yeah, I think a better. I wonder if that one movie, Natural Born Killers, pulls from this any. I mean, they obviously weren't as crazy and violent as Woody Harrelson and that one girl, but that movie kind of has a similar vibe to this. Yeah, just typical made for TV fare for the 90s. I mean, even the soundtrack, it's got like that like electric guitar soundtrack. I don't know, you know what I'm talking about, like the like all that shit in it, and like also it does the that it's like a meme now, the dramatic sting. Like, you know, remember like the dramatic, was it dramatic groundhog or whatever the fuck it was? That
Oh,
old
yeah.
meme back in the day, that
Yeah.
that sting, that it does that like when it shows Jill's car when she's inside of her car, it like does that thing, and like just very cheesy shit. Like it's very by the numbers, made for TV stuff.
Made for 90s TV.
Made for 90s TV. I don't think, do they really do made for TV movies anymore? Is that like even a thing? I think everything's streaming now. I guess that would be that'd be the thing.
I don't
like,
watch cable. I haven't had cable in like years.
Neither
I couldn't
have I.
tell you.
Neither have I. I don't know. It seems like maybe like a bygone thing, but now
Goddamn millennials killing the cable industry.
now we have streaming exclusives. We have, Netflix originals and
Which are way
Prime
better
originals.
than TV movies.
They are. They seem to.
There's some real gems in there.
I wonder if it's because it's a guaranteed guaranteed amount of views I'll get on them and stuff. It's easier to track that kind of shit. Whereas made for TV stuff is probably a lot harder to track back in the day. If it's going to be anything of interest. Back in the 90s, they would pretty much make a made-for-TV movie about anything, like based on a true story. Like that was like a big thing. Is like, anytime there was a high-profile trial, it was a countdown till the made-for-TV like schlockfest of it.
I'm sure Lifetime still does made-for-TV movies.
Definitely. I almost wonder if they have like a streaming service now. They like have like Lifetime streaming originals and shit. I wonder.
We Hate Men.
We Hate Men, a Lifetime original. We Hate Men because they all beat us. The movie. So let's go ahead and talk about the quality of Campbell here in our next segment. Let's go ahead and let's discuss the quality of Campbell.
Good. Bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
In the Line of Duty, Blaze of Glory. I was expecting a little more with the title Blaze of Glory. I don't feel like they went out in such a blaze of glory. It seemed kind of...
No. It was definitely false advertising there.
It was. Like Blaze of Glory, you think of like the real Bonnie and Clyde, like where they like got shot up in the car, together and stuff. Like that's what I was expecting.
That was pretty gruesome.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting. That kind of blaze of glory, or like a big standoff. And no, they just kind of both kill themselves. That as soon as they realize they're trapped or there's no way out, they just shoot themselves in the face.
Not going to prison.
Yep, not going to prison. Which I mean, all in all, I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's the better way out. I don't know.
I mean, if I was a woman, I'd be like, yeah, I'm just going to prison. But if I was Jeff, and I'm not bank robbery, and then I killed 2 cops and shot another. No, I'm not going to prison.
No,
it's like signing yourself up for beatings.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, cop killers don't do very well in prison. Yeah, I don't know. It's just the blaze of glory kind of bugged me. The blaze of glory, it just did. I did not feel as though they went out in a blaze of glory at all. I feel like they just kind of opted out at a certain point. That's in the Line of Duty, opting out. They should have called it. They should have called it.
Not today.
Not today. Not feeling it. That's the thing. Oh, wasn't there a line of that? Or was I thinking of something else? No, fuck. I went and seen Scream last night. That was what I was thinking of. Not today as a part of the new Scream movie. I won't give any spoilers away, but...
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Blaze of Glory, definitely one of those movies you put on, you take a nap to. I wonder if, like... I kind of want to know where it, like, premiered at and shit. Like, what the made-for-TV...
Like, what network it went on?
Yeah, I wonder. It seems like a Fox thing, because I know Fox was pretty heavy in, like, the cop stuff back in the 90s, where they had cops. Obviously it's like one of their flagship shows, but it really doesn't say like where it was. This is the second like made for TV movie we watched this year, because Assault on Dome 4 was Sci-Fi Pictures original.
I could see that.
So I don't see any info on where this came from. Oh, it's also known as In the Line of Duty for Love and Money.
Oh,
which to me is probably a better title.
Probably a better title.
Oh, there's a lot of different. There's not a lot of titles. Just a lot of different interpretations of the title. But yeah. Oh, is also so in the U.S. it has 3 titles. In U.S. it's known as In the Line of Duty, Blaze of Glory, In the Line of Duty for Love and Money, and Jeff and Jill was the other title, Jeff and Jill. But no info on where it premiered at or what kind of numbers it did. I'd be very interested. I doubt anyone has any way to find that because this movie is totally lost. There's not much demand for this movie, I imagine.
And
Luckily,
right.
I don't know. It's so memorable. It's not at all, trive and, repetitive at all. I don't know. So, Jeff and Jill in the line of duty, blaze of glory for love and money. Urs, what do you think of Bruce in it? That's what we're here. That's what we really want to know. Like, how was Bruce Campbell in this movie?
I actually kind of feel like this showed that Bruce actually has some range. I liked Bruce's acting. I thought he was probably one of the better actors in the film.
Yeah,
Glory just didn't do a good job.
No, she for a surprisingly complex character, or I don't want to say character, but like, as the source material. You have this character Jill, who's a manic depressive alcoholic bank robber. I feel like there's a lot of meat on the bone there. They could have.
I think you could probably blame a lot of that on the writing team, but
for sure.
I think Bruce did a pretty good job. It wasn't the Bruce that we're used to, but I still think it was a good Bruce.
It was a good Bruce. I really enjoyed it. I will say, like, up until the third act, I was pretty sure I was going to give us a not groovy. I was pretty sure I was going to not, because I really didn't. There wasn't really anything for me to go off of up until that point of just, Bruce being Bruce. We've seen Bruce be Bruce. But that third act, that's where it sold me. When he realizes Jill is dead and you actually see him like convey emotion, he's upset and he's crying, things like that. That is where it won me over. I was like, okay, I think this is a different Bruce than what I was expecting, or what we have yet to see. We have yet to see anything like this in our podcast so far. This is probably the more dramatic role we've seen Bruce in.
It's definitely a different Bruce than what we've seen.
Definitely. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. This is kind of weird. Like, this kind of goes hand in hand with Assault on Dome 4. It kind of makes you appreciate Bruce even more. His ability to, I don't want to say save, but his ability to be a saving grace in these kind of projects. To where I know you and I, and none of us would be talking about fucking Blaze of Glory in the Line of Duty unless it had Bruce in it. Like, and there would be no real relevance to this movie at all. Like, Lori Loughlin doesn't have the cult status to carry a movie like this into, here it came out in 1997 and here it is 2022 and we're talking about it. Lori Loughlin doesn't have the ability to do that to a movie. Brad Whitford doesn't have the ability to do that. And we're only talking about this because of Bruce. And Bruce fucking brings it here in the third act. When the movie becomes reliant on solely him, he picks it up on his shoulders and he carries it. What are you thinking here, Urs? If you had to, we're getting down to it. It's groovy or not groovy.
Not
the movie. We're talking about Bruce Campbell as Jeff Erickson.
You say that. I mean, this movie is really, really boring, but it gives me so much nostalgia. Those like old cop shows and stuff. I actually enjoyed this movie. It's boring, but I enjoyed it. And as far as Bruce performance go, I got to give it a groovy.
I'm going to agree with you on a lot of things there. It's like, it's kind of the same with Assault on Dome 4. Assault on Dome 4 wasn't a great movie by any means, but the nostalgia of it was like such a comforting movie to watch, because like it reminded me so much of 9:00 on a Saturday evening, turn on Sci-Fi and watching just a shitty, dumb movie and loving every minute of it because it was shitty and dumb, and I knew it was shitty and dumb. And this right here, same thing. It gives me this like warm feeling of the 90s. We're 90s kids. It really brings you back that time period where it's just this schlocky, made for TV. I don't even know how to put it. It's just made for TV. It's just such a it's its own vibe. I feel like for the 90s.
I think you said it perfectly earlier when you just said it's a napping movie. I mean, you can turn it on and take a nap, and it's just
definitely you catch.
I don't know. There's just a feeling about that just brings me back to my childhood. It's like
you catch this Sunday afternoon on USA Network. You throw yourself on the couch and you take a nap while you watch it. Like that. That's what it is. A summer evening on USA Network, and you're taking a nap, and that's very comforting. But
I'm filled with so much joy right now thinking about
that. But as far as Bruce goes, groovy. It's groovy. Bruce fucking brings his A game in this third act when it's like, we need you to convey emotion. He fucking conveys emotion. Like, you feel like his wife is dead, and you got to commend him on that. I mean, that's different Bruce we've ever seen. Say what you will about the movie, but here at Call to Campbell, we only care about one thing, and that's the quality of Campbell. And the quality of Campbell and In the Line of Duty, Blaze of Glory, For the Love of Money, Jeff and Jill, is fucking groovy.
It's like
I really
the
enjoyed
13th
this.
or 14th time you called him Jack and Jill.
It makes sense. It just makes sense in my
Yeah.
head.
It's hard not to say that because you're Jack and Jill. They went up the hill to fetch a pail of water.
Yeah, then Jeff and Jill went up the hill and killed themselves. That's what,
Yeah.
that's what Jeff and Jill did. Man, I will say though, I love this. This was a fun ride. It sucks Eric because Eric watched the movie and he doesn't get to talk about it. So he watched the movie basically just to watch it. I'd be interested to hear what he had to say because I know he would probably have some deeper meaning on some of this stuff that I'd be interested in hearing. But as it goes, the quality of Campbell, if it's the hosts are the ones that rate it, we give it a groovy. So this is the second certified groovy of 2022.
Hey, we're on a roll.
We're on a roll. Yeah, we are on a roll. For our Campbellites out there, you will notice this is Call to Campbell is now bi-weekly at this point. We're no longer doing weekly uploads. We're not doing the Ash vs. Evil Dead right now. It will return here at some point, but as of now, the first of the year, we're getting ahead on some stuff. We're bringing you guys some new shows to the Cult Talk Network that you guys will see here in the coming months. You'll see some new shows from us dealing with a lot of different things. And this is our bi-weekly Call to Campbell now. So we're going to be focusing on the hits. We're not doing Ash vs. Evil Dead. And hope you guys enjoyed this because this was definitely something I was not expecting. I wasn't expecting this Bruce out of this made-for-TV movie at all.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the amount of enjoyment I did. And I also wasn't expecting to see an actual, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
We mean
Nicolas Cage.
Oh, like hammy, like corny, cheesy,
like non-hammy.
Yeah,
performance from.
Yeah, he plays it pretty straight. He plays the movie very straight to the T and deals with all the emotions as he should, and it's very interesting. It's very interesting. So yeah, certified groovy 2022. We second one we've given this year. So maybe this is a sign of things to come for this year. Maybe
we just gotta get those diamonds out of the rough, man.
We're digging.
We're gonna start digging a little more.
I think with this, to me, this is where Bruce like really shines when he is like saving a movie. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's where he shines is when he cares about a movie too. Because we've seen lazy Bruce and stuff, and this is definitely not lazy Bruce at all. This is Bruce when he really wants to put his best foot forward. And this really shines. I think it earned the certified groovy seal. Yeah, I mean, there we go. This is the In the Line of Duty, Blaze of Glory. Hope you guys enjoyed. You can find this whole movie on YouTube just by searching In the Line of Duty, Blaze of Glory.
Surprisingly, it's been up for a while too, so it's probably not going to get taken down.
Yeah, it shouldn't get taken down unless all of our Campbellites flood it at once and bring the algorithm's attention to it.
Our whole tens of fans.
Yeah, our whole tens of fans flood into it. But yeah, check it out if you guys can. Definitely, it's not something I will say. Pop in on a Monday night with your family and put on. But if you're laying around on a Sunday and you're bored and you want to have something in the background while you browse your phone, definitely put on In the Line of Duty, Blaze of Glory if you're a Campbell fan, because that third act will really surprise you when he starts bringing the tears. When he turns on the waterworks, it's very surprising.
Very.
So there you guys have it. That was In the Line of Duty, Blaze of Glory, certified groovy for 2022, the second one. This might be the year of certified groovy. It's getting there. And not next week, the week after for Valentine's Day, Eric and I are inviting you guys to spend Valentine's Day with us as we take a look at another diamond in the rough, a hard to find flick, Lunatics: A Love Story, starring Ted Raimi and co-starring Bruce Campbell in a very weird, very 90s rom-com with a dark twist to it. So hopefully you guys can spend Valentine's Day with us on that. And we got a lot more stuff coming to the pipeline for Cult of Campbell. You guys can follow along with us at Cult Talk Net on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And we'll keep you guys updated on what we have coming out, not only from us, but from the entire Cult Talk Network. Cult Talk's Weird Shit, Cult of Lore, and some other projects are coming out here soon. So hope you guys follow along with us and hashtag join the talk, as Mike keeps reminding me to say. until next time, I think we can just go and let you guys know, remind you to stay groovy.
Hail to the king, baby.
That's it? That's the best you got?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.